El Salvador's president says he won't return the wrongfully deported Maryland man to the US.
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
This is President Bukele of El Salvador speaking on the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Let me explain. On March 12th, immigration officers had stopped Garcia claiming a change in his immigration status, and despite knowing he had protected status, they deported him. Following this action, the Justice Department acknowledged in court filings that Garcia was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Vice President J.D. Vance responded to John Favreau on Pod Save America, who called Garcia an innocent father from Maryland. Vance claimed Favreau ignored court documents which claimed Garcia a convicted gang member. However, the documents only cite an unproven claim by a government informant that led to Garcia's detention in 2019, and only evoked suspicion that he was gang affiliated. During this case, an immigration judge granted him withholding of removal, a rare form of protection similar to asylum, due to the threat of gang violence he would face in El Salvador if deported. Garcia's deportation to El Salvador made national headlines and was followed by a case before the Supreme Court. On Thursday, April 11th, the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration must work to bring Garcia back. In the ruling, it states,
"The government now requests an order from this court permitting it to leave Abrego Garcia, a husband and father without a criminal record, in a Salvadoran prison for no reason recognized by the law." The government's argument, moreover, implies that it could deport and incarcerate any person, including U.S. citizens, without legal consequence, so long as it does so before a court can intervene.
On Monday, March 14th, President Trump met with President Bukele in the White House. When asked if he would return Garcia from El Salvador, President Bukele responded,
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you could release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen.
In light of the Supreme Court's decision, Caitlin Collins for CNN asked,
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago.
How long do we have to answer this question from you? Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over, and that's why nobody watches you anymore? You have no credibility. Please go ahead.